What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're doing another week of sports talk, and we're going to tackle week 3 in the NFL. As always, I'm Respawn Granted, co-host Real Batman or RB. And first of all, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right.
Right. A lot of ups and downs in the NFL, man, this past week. Am I right?
A lot of ups and downs, but we're going to get into that once we start this segment. I got a lot to say, dude. A lot to say.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it's not even like what you might think. It's just, it's pure garbage. But let's you're the host. I'm just the co-host. Let's see what you have to say. All right, start it off.
We're both co-hosts. It's our segment.
But it's fine. I get it. But
all right.
So lead the way.
Right. So I figure since we both have our own favorite teams, we push that to the back. We just kind of quickly go through the NFL and kind of touch up a little bit on the games. So naturally, I wrote down a few little notes, little tidbits here. I want to start with the Thursday game, Pittsburgh at Cleveland. Cleveland ended up pulling out that game 29-17. So now they're 2-1 in the division. Pittsburgh's 1-2. Any thoughts on that game?
Dude, we talked about this on the phone. If Cleveland can stay around 500 until Deshaun Watson comes back, they're going to be dangerous because they have 2 starting running backs now. Kareem Hunt has said publicly in his tweets that he wants out of Cleveland. Wow. Which he could come to Miami. I'll gladly take him. You guys don't need a run back. You guys got plenty. Yeah. I'll gladly take him. But if they can stay right around 500 and Deshaun Watson comes back, they're going to be scary. I
couldn't say it better myself. I mean, honestly, I watched the game and a lot of big mistakes by Pittsburgh, a lot of dropped passes and whatnot. Real quick, Trubisky had 20 for 32, 207 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. And then you have Brissett with 21 for 31, 220, 2 touchdowns and no picks. The guy looked like a solid quarterback against that Pittsburgh defense. I'm kind of surprised, to be honest with you, dude, with his performance in that game.
I think it's like anything else. I think Jacoby Brissett's not even an average quarterback. And we saw him last year in Miami. I saw him when he was in Indianapolis. He's very, very inconsistent, all in the same game. I think he's in the right place at the right time, in my opinion. Like I said, they have 2 starting running backs there. They have Amari Cooper there. They have a good defense. They have a good offensive line. It's a good fit for him. But, I mean, he's bound to hit a wall because he does it all the time. He really does. But right now, he's playing solid. I'm not going to argue with that.
So we can both agree, as long as he keeps Cleveland within contention for when Deshaun Watson gets back, that's all you could ask out of the guy. Yep. You know, because he's not exactly a home run hitter, but there you go. That was our thing. Kind of an ugly game, but it still worked out for them. So good for them. So now I think we can jump over to Sunday, and I'm just going to go right in order the way NFL.com had it. So I have the next game is Saints against Carolina, and Carolina ended up pulling out the win 22-14. You had the Saints. They didn't even score a point until the 4th quarter, and they had 3 total turnovers. And they're now 1-2, along with Carolina being 1-2. What's your thoughts on that?
I think Baker Mayfield's adjusting to a whole new team, whole new offense. I think he's another quarterback that I mean, it's self-inflicted, unlike Tua. He's got a big mouth. He loves to run it. He talks a bigger game than what he actually plays. But I think he's a solid quarterback. He's an average to good quarterback. And I think as the season goes on, I think he'll get better acclimated. I think Jameis Winston, he did this in Tampa Bay, man, but he doesn't have these excuses with New Orleans. This dude, what did he throw? Like 3-4 interceptions again in this game?
He threw 2 interceptions. He was 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 350 yards, and I think he fumbled once too, I believe.
It's just like he's like kind of all over the place. And on a team like the Saints, man, that's poor, man. I see him getting benched really soon. I don't see it.
Well, it's crazy too, because Mayfield was able to do what he did, and he only threw 1 touchdown and not even 200 yards. I think it was like 190 or 170, whatever it is. It's like he didn't have to throw much, and they were able to win 22-14. So I mean, granted, they ran pretty well, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, Winston kind of, the turnovers continue to be a problem in this guy's career, man.
Yeah. He's a turnover machine.
Yeah.
He's like he's a poor man's Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner turned the ball over, but not as much as him. But for every interception Kurt Warner threw, he threw like 2 touchdown passes.
Right.
Him, it's like the opposite. For every touchdown he throws, it's like two interceptions. So I don't know, man. I think his time in the NFL is coming to an end as a starter.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer he can keep doing this. He does it week in and week out. He did it for Tampa, like you said, and it seems like he's doing it again in New Orleans. So I don't know. I mean, how many more excuses can you make for this guy? But now let's jump over to the next game. We got Texans against the Bears. I'm sorry. The Bears ended up winning this one 23-20. So Texans are now 0-2-1, and the Bears are 2-1. Well, any thoughts on that game?
Justin Fields is not ready to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
He is a scrambler, and they already have a good running game. They have a good defense. What he does well is he scrambles, and he's hard to stop for that reason and that reason alone. I mean, what did he throw for, like 105 yards in that game? Like it was not good. Maybe he can grow and start to be a better pure passer, but right now, man, the Bears, that's a very fluke 2-1. I don't see them being a 500 team. They're going to be well below 500. I think. Yeah, if they win 6 games, it'll be a miracle. I don't see it.
Well, the thing is, especially playing like this, because he threw 0 touchdowns, 2 picks for 106 yards. I mean, you don't usually end up on the winning side of the ball with that kind of with those kind of numbers. But they had a good running game. They ended up rushing for almost 300 yards as a team. So that's what did it for them. And the Texans, they're the Texans. They're not exactly great. Let me see. They threw 245 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. So it is what it is. It ended up being enough. But yeah, you're right, man. 106 passing yards isn't going to cut it in the NFL.
Nope. When he goes up against better, stiffer competition, I don't care how good you can run. When you're that one-dimensional as a quarterback, dude, he's either going to get hurt or he's going to get pulled from the game because the defenses are not going to respect him, dude. They're going to put 8 guys in a box and they're just going to say, and we're going to play contain. We're going to keep you in the pocket and we dare you to throw the ball because I don't think he can do it.
I mean, at this point, that's what I would do. I'd put, 7, 8 guys in the box every single play and let's see if you can do it with your arm.
Yep.
All right, so jumping on to the nenext game, we got Chiefs at Colts. This one surprised me, man. Colts pulled it out 20-17. So the Chiefs are now 2-1, and the Colts are 1-1-1. What happened there?
I think it's one of those things where the Chiefs started off hot. Patrick Mahomes had a chip on his shoulder, maybe because some of the stuff that Tyreek Hill said after he went to Miami. Mm-hmm. He wanted to shut up a lot of people. He's probably sick and tired of hearing about the fact that Tyreek Hill is gone, their offense is in trouble. He wanted to prove a lot of people wrong. He did that. And I think he just completely overlooked the Colts. And the one thing about the Colts is Matt Ryan, again, new system, new team. Chemistry is an issue. He's not in the prime of his career, but I think he will, before it's all said and done, I think the Colts are going to be one of those teams that you don't want to face late in the year. They have a good running game and they have a good young defense. And I think it's just a matter of Matt Ryan just getting acclimated to his new team and getting in sync with his receivers. But I think the Chiefs definitely overlooked the Colts, and before they knew it, it was just sorry, bye-bye.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. They probably were already looking at the next week because even Mahomes 1 for 1 and 262 passing, whereas Ryan 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, 222 passing yards, solid, not great, but solid. And Mahomes just couldn't pull magic out of his hat this time, I guess. Still 2-1 in the division though, so there's that.
I think it's as the season goes on, they had a nice start, but they're going to miss Tyreek Hill. I don't care how much. Yeah. I don't care how good Mahomes is. He's going to miss him. You saw it in this Colts game, and you're going to continue to see it because teams are going to play up on their receivers. I wouldn't give those receivers on the Chiefs any space. Stop with the 10-yard cushions. Yeah. Jam those guys. The first 5 yards, you can do that. And I think the Chiefs will struggle at times unless they can run the ball. They will struggle at times.
Okay. I'm going to skip the Bills and Dolphins for now because once again, this is your team. So we're going to save our teams for the end. We're going to go to Lions against Vikings. Vikings ended up pulling out this one 28-24. Lions fall to 1-2. Vikings 2-1. So let me see this game here. We had both quarterbacks threw for about a little over 250 yards apiece. Lions quarterback 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Vikings 2 and 0 picks. What's your thoughts on that game?
Minnesota is a head scratcher, aren't they?
Yes.
You know, when Kirk Cousins went to the Vikings, everybody's like, okay, you know, this team, there was this excuse, that team. He went to the Vikings and said, okay, they got some receivers there. They got to run a game. They got a really good defense. It's put up or shut up time. And I think if they miss the playoffs this year, I think they're going to move on from Kirk Cousins. He's one of those guys. That's why I tell people, you can't just look at stats. Right. Stats don't always tell the whole story. This guy, a lot of his stats are because he's coming from behind. He starts off his game slow. He starts off his season slow. It's the same thing with Kirk Cousins every year. Again, not trashing Kirk Cousins. I think he's a good quarterback, but it just, he has this knack for starting off slow. And then he threw for 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, had a quarterback rating of 93.5. But then next week he'll probably puke all over himself. So they're a head scratcher, the Vikings, because I think if you put a quarterback that's a little bit more consistent than him, they're probably in the playoffs every single year. I mean, I think he's part of the reason what's keeping them back, honestly, really.
What you just said, we're going to see a trend. We're going to see that same type of comment for most of these teams. So let's keep that in mind. We're going to jump over to the next game. We got Ravens against the Pats. Now, the Ravens ended up winning this game 37-26, but I'll tell you something. I thought they were going to blow this game again. The way that they lost to Miami last week, and I saw that it was shaping up, I thought New England was going to pull this one out, and I thought the Ravens were going to be 1-2. What about you?
There's a reason why Lamar Jackson didn't sign that big contract with Baltimore. He's getting the hell out of there. It's just all him.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, for all the people say that this kid can't throw, Lamar Jackson he's not the most accurate thrower, but he's a good quarterback. And what makes him even more dangerous is he's improving as a quarterback, as a pure quarterback. And then you add his athleticism and his speed. He's out of Baltimore after this year. I think he's trying to be Superman on this team, and he's just being asked to do way too much, and he's not getting enough help from other people. I'm sorry. I mean, they got some stuff, some weapons there, some guys to throw to, but I think he's out. He's out.
It's funny you say that because looking at Lamar Jackson's numbers, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, 218 passing yards, which is solid by itself. But the guy also ran for 107 yards. So together he got over 300 yards total by himself. That's incredible.
And was responsible for 5 touchdowns because he had a rushing touchdown.
Yes, that's right. So, I mean, it's incredible what this guy can do. And I'll be the first to admit it. I was one of those guys that in the beginning was saying this guy's Michael Vick 2.0. No, this guy is definitely better.
Oh yeah.
He can throw better. He can read the field better, and he can move like Vick did. It's scary. If you're right, if this guy ends up going somewhere, especially with a team that has pieces around him more than Baltimore does, this guy is going to be. He's going to be
you saw what he posted on Twitter, right? He was holding a Dolphins jersey.
Yeah, so there you go. If he goes there could be some.
I like what I'm seeing from Tua so far, but I'm sorry, that's an upgrade in my opinion, dude.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of an upgrade. And then I don't want to crap on Tua. He gets crapped on enough. Trust me.
No, I mean, you're just stating the thing. This would be an upgrade at that position, and I agree with you. I think he would definitely be something different than Tua could be. Now, on the flip side of that, we got Mac Jones, 0 touchdowns, 3 picks, and 321 yards, and on top of it, he got injured at the end of the game. Very unlike a Bill Belichick offense, in my opinion.
Well, that's Bill Belichick self-inflicted. Stop bringing in the yes sirs to your team and bring in – Matt Patricia has no business being an offensive coordinator.
I knew you were going to say that.
Dude, give me a break.
Yeah.
The kid had a really solid season last year, and there's that sophomore slump that we always talk about, but it's not usually this bad. And I'm sorry, this kid looks pissed. He looks annoyed. There's receivers on this team that were in this offense that are saying that this offense is not being run right. Wow. This is going to implode really quickly in New England, which is sad because Bill Belichick, his legacy might be tarnished. This might overshadow all the stuff that he's done before this, including the cheating. But that's besides the point. But no, seriously, like it's come on, man. Matt Patricia's not an offense coordinator. He's not even a good defensive coordinator. Just stop. Get him out. Get him out.
Okay, so then we're going to go from that game. We're going to jump over to Cincinnati against the Jets. Cincinnati finally got their first win of the season, 27-12 over the Jets. Cincinnati is 1-2, and so are the Jets. What are your thoughts on this game? Because I have some things to say about this one as well.
Okay, so Joe Burrow, 3 touchdowns, 275 yards, was sacked only twice. He did get rid of the ball quicker in this game. He had a quarterback rating of 115, but he's going up against an older, aging Joe Flacco who shouldn't be starting in this league. He's starting because Zach Wilson is hurt. The Jets do have some talent here on offense. That's what I've heard, that they've added some talent. I don't know, dude. There's a lot. The Super Bowl hangover is real, man. Like, they're 1-2. And if you ask me, the rankings came out today. They're 1-2.
Yeah.
Why are they even in the top 10 or 13, whatever they're ranked right now? Right. I get it. They were in the Super Bowl, look, Joe Burrow is the real deal. He really is. I'm not knocking him. They got some talent on this team. Okay. Jamar Chase he's a stud. I mean, they got some talent on this team. Their defense is pretty good, but they got to correct that offensive line. Until they do, it's going to be this is Dan Marino 2.0 is what Joe Burrow is looking like right now.
Yeah, and the thing is, Cincinnati did try. Didn't they draft some offensive linemen or pick some guys up in the offseason? So they are trying. It's just, I don't know. It's just not. It's not panning out. Joe Burrow's still running for his life in a lot of that. He's getting a lot of pressure. And the way I look at it too is that you beat a Jets team that is not a very good team, and you only beat them by 15. With Flacco throwing 2 picks, by the way, and no touchdowns. For a Super Bowl appearing team, the AFC champion team, if you were to tell me at the beginning of the year that they were going to face the Jets, I would have thought this would have been like a 3-touchdown win. You know what I mean? By 21 points or something like that. Because the fact that they went to the Super Bowl the year before, Joe Burrow, high-powered offense, all that stuff, and you come out of New York only winning by 15. That's kind of concerning in my opinion, man. What do you think?
Yeah, it is. But here's something that we also have to remember that we tend to forget. The preseason used to be 4 games,
right? Where
the starters only didn't really play in the last 1.5 games. The first 3 games or something like that, they actually played. Now everybody's so worried about injuries that they're playing one less preseason game. The starters never play.
Right.
And I think that's actually contributing to more injuries during the regular season. So these based on the last couple of years, especially last year and then this year, it almost seems like the first game to game and a half, you're still it's like a feeling out process because they really don't. You can't simulate game speed and situations. And when you're not playing it, I mean, preseason, they just line up anyway. But it's the closest thing you're going to get to game speed and certain situations. So the preseason being shorter, the fact that they don't want to play anybody, it's a problem. So I think the Bengals will be okay, but I don't think that they're going to be in the Super Bowl. I honestly, I think they might lose in the first round, and that's if they even make the playoffs, because that division is freaking scary.
Yeah, it is. And that's something I would like to touch on after we go through the week is the division standings, if you're all right with that.
Yeah.
So let's jump over to the next game. We got the Raiders at Titans. This one came down to the wire. Titans ended up pulling off the win 24-22. You have the Raiders at 0-3 and the Titans at 1-2. Man, let me tell you something. I was looking at the stats in this game. There was a lot of close stats, but one thing stood out big time for me, and it was the third down. Well, it was 2 things. The third down conversion percentage. Oakland had well, it's not Oakland anymore. It's Las Vegas, but it was only 8%. whereas Tennessee had 50%. And damn it, that's gonna be tough to correct. Las Vegas had no points in the second half, dude.
You mean Tennessee?
That's what I meant. Yes, yes. I'm sorry, I read that
Tennessee.
wrong. Tennessee had no points in the second half, meaning Las Vegas should have been able to, do something, and they couldn't even do it with Tennessee not scoring in the second half.
I'm baffled by the Raiders, dude. They added Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
They got Josh Jacobs there. So, averaging 5 yards a carry on only 13 carries, 66 yards. I'm looking at. They have Darren Walker. They got some stuff there. Derek Carr, all the hoopla around him. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's average. I think he's good. But again, he's not one of those really mobile guys. And if the offensive line gives him time, he can give you a good game. But when he gets a little bit of pressure, I don't know. He was only sacked once in this game. Tannehill was only sacked once in this game. And we're going to touch this on when we start talking about odd teams because Tennessee's not what they were last year. They got Robert Woods, average receiver. Wasn't Julio Jones on here and A.J. Brown?
I don't think this year, were they?
It was last year.
I think it was last year, yeah.
Yeah, so they lost some really good receivers. So Tannehill lost two really big weapons. And I just don't think Tennessee is going to be not even close to the number one seed. Yeah. And of course, Tannehill's going to get trashed. Some of it is warranted, but he was 19 of 27, 264 yards, 1-1, and he had a quarterback rating of 98. So considering the crap he has to throw to there, now a lot of people say, well, he's got Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had 20 carries for 85 yards and 4.3 yards per carry and a rushing touchdown. He did have 5 catches for 58 yards. So the guy's a beast, but he can only do so much, man. He's like Lamar Jackson, but in the running back sense. He's not the quarterback. This guy's going to he's either going to get killed or hurt, or he's just going to be worn out, man. The mileage is adding up on this dude. And you didn't replace at least one. You didn't even bring in one receiver to help the passing game out. Like, you lost 2. You brought in Robert Woods, and I think I don't think he was there last year, but he's a nice receiver. But come on, man, no.
Yeah. Well,
but the Raiders are in trouble. They're in trouble. 0-3. Yep. Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
It's crazy, man. It seems like this Raiders team, every year I talk to people, and it seems like they're always a question mark, and they're always scratching their head. Like, you got talent, you got a quarterback, supposedly you got this, you got that, and you're one of the worst teams in the league right now.
Well, take it from a guy who's watched his team start off like 1-4, 1-5 the last 2 years and finish with winning records. The Raiders can still turn this around, especially with an extra regular season game.
Absolutely.
It's not completely over, but the odds of them making the playoffs, teams that start off 0-3, it's not a very good percentage of them make the playoffs. So
yeah, I think it's like 20%. Maybe.
Yeah, it's not good. Miami ended up having a respectable season, but they did miss the playoffs. So let's just keep that in mind.
Yeah. So with that being said, let's jump over to the Eagles against the Commanders. Eagles ended up winning this one 24-8. Now with this game, the Eagles now jump to 3-0. The Commanders fall to 1-2. Now, one thing that's interesting to me personally is that all 24 of the Eagles' points was in the second quarter. That was it. No points in the first, no points in the third, no points in the fourth. That was all that. And the Commanders scored 8 points all in the fourth. So the NFC East is such a weird division with stuff like that. Like, they beat each other up all the time. And there's actually another NFC East game later on when we get to them. But what's your thoughts on the Eagles and the Commanders, dude? Especially, what's his name? The quarterback for the Eagles there.
Jalen Hurts.
Thank you.
I think this kid is definitely progressing as a quarterback. I can see him growing. I see him making the throws that he wasn't really necessarily making last year. Mm-hmm. But can we stop? Can we stop with the hate towards one player or certain players and pimp up a guy that has played nothing but either bad or middle of the road teams? Right. Little fun fact for you, Philadelphia, and I have some friends, close friends that are Eagles fans, but a fun fact for ESPN and CBS, you can all go stick it in your pipe and smoke it. They have a cushy schedule. The only time they play a actual playoff team, like a legit contender, is in week 13 when they play the freaking Packers.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So by that point, they might already have, they might almost already be in the playoffs. So for those of you who think that the league doesn't rig things and cater to certain teams and dump all over others, weren't the Eagles in the playoffs last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do they have a cushy schedule like that? And a team like mine that didn't get to the playoffs starts off with a brutal schedule. I mean, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's right in front of you. Look through the smoke, look through the bullshit, watch the sports coverage, and you can just see it. I mean, there's a reason why the NFL ratings are down. But let's move on. They have a cushy-ass schedule. But look, you can only play the schedule that's in front of you. The opponents that are in front of you. That's a nice win, but Carson Wentz hasn't been the same since his injury. He kind of reminds me of Carson Palmer, so I think he's damaged goods.
So 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, 340 yards. You're saying that a lot of that is because of who they faced, in your opinion? I just want to get that straight.
Who have they faced? So they played the Lions. Out of all the teams that they have faced here in the first 3 games, the Lions are the only ones that have a pulse on offense. Because they can run the ball. Jared Goff is an average to good quarterback. A lot of people don't like him because he's overpaid. Like we've talked about before, he is overpaid, but he's not a terrible quarterback. And they only beat the Lions by 3. Who do they play after that? And now Washington? Are you serious, dude? Come on, man. Like, come on. And if you look at the schedule going forward, it's a joke. It's a freak. It's all middle of the pack or crappy teams. Like, seriously, just give them the playoff berth.
Right. Okay, so now we're going to the next game. We got Jacksonville against the Chargers. This one was interesting. Jacksonville won 38-10. They are now 2-1. Chargers are 1-2. And let me tell you something, man. Trevor Lawrence, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, 262 yards. Looks solid, man. Looks solid. And the team rushed for almost 300 yards.
Jacksonville's got a new head coach, new offensive system. Sound familiar? And they took a young quarterback that was completely being misused and trying to make him something that he wasn't. And this coach comes in who has experience and he's working around his strengths. He's putting a team around him and he's not asking him to do what he can't do. Say, look, this is what you do well. We're going to go get you the talent around you and we're going to go do it. I'll tell you, this team is young. And if Trevor Lawrence can continue this growth in year 2, the defense, I mean, you and I were talking on the phone when this game was on.
Yeah.
This team is a force to be reckoned with. If they can avoid major injuries and Trevor Lawrence can continue to improve each and every game, Jacksonville is going to be a very dangerous team. They might even be in the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised at all, actually.
No, me either, especially in that division. It's not exactly a very tough division. But on the flip side of that, the other thing that made me really surprised was that the Chargers only had 26 total rushing yards as a team and just under 300 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. And this guy was the one that you talked a lot about last week. And he didn't look good this week. Herbert, he didn't look good this week.
The broadcast of this game was actually nauseating. Every excuse under the sun. And I wanted Miami to draft Herbert, okay? Yeah. I thought that's who they were going to draft. But every excuse under the sun, complete opposite of what they do with Tua. Can you tell I'm a little annoyed this year? Even though we're 3-0?
Yeah.
I'm a little annoyed, but we're going to get into that towards the end. But he played bad, but the kid's hurt.
Yeah.
Is the NFL going to investigate this? Why was this kid in there in the 4th quarter when they're losing by 28? I mean, this kid, make no mistake about it. Justin Herbert is legit. Okay. He's a very good to maybe franchise quarterback. He is an elite quarterback. He's well on his way. That's just reckless.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't get it.
You're getting killed. Pull the kid out. He was clearly in pain. He should have been pulled. And it wasn't your day.
Yeah.
Live to fight another week. This kid is way too important to this team. But yeah, I mean, the only guy that ran the ball well, Sony Michel, the guy that we cut, that I think we're going to need to replace as it gets colder, had 5 carries for 22 yards. That's 4.5 yards a carry. They should run the ball a little bit more.
Yeah.
They really should.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it was only 26 total rushing yards. So that's it for that game. Now we're going to jump over to the Rams against the Cardinals. You want to talk about ugly. The Rams are 2-1, Cardinals 1-2. Neither quarterback threw a pick, but neither quarterback threw a touchdown either. You got the Rams Stafford throwing for 249, and then you got the Cards
Kyler Murray.
Thank you, for 314. But what is up with that? No touchdowns and no picks from either starting quarterback? Kind of weird.
The Rams don't look like the same team, do they?
No, they don't.
They don't. It almost seems like they got a Super Bowl hangover of a different kind.
Yes.
It almost seems like they're content with that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And they don't really want to repeat, or at least try to repeat maybe. And Kyler Murray, well, you gave him the big contract. Now you're going to have to live with it.
Yeah.
He got paid. Look, Kyler Murray is a good quarterback, but it's the same thing with him in Arizona every year. They start off strong, 6-2, 7-2, 7-3, whatever. And then they just fade as the year goes on. Yeah. It wasn't just 1 year. It's been happening. So I would have hesitated. I would have held out and said, look, we need to see you play one more year. We need to see you play good late in the season and into the playoffs, because you haven't been able to do that thus far.
Yeah.
But they gave him the contract, and now they're going to have to live with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's just, I mean, we could actually potentially see the defending Super Bowl champs and the defending AFC champs not even in the playoffs, or they get eliminated early on in the playoffs this season. We might actually see something like that happen.
It's that unpredictable. It's that unpredictable right now. Yep.
All right, so let's jump over to the Falcons against the Seahawks. Falcons end up pulling off the win, 27-23. Both teams are 1-2. This game here, I don't really know what to say about this one either, man.
Well, it's Marcus Mariota versus Geno Smith. Cast-offs that the teams that drafted him didn't want, and other teams didn't want.
Right.
They've bounced around, and look, they're rebuilding. It's not a secret. The Seahawks are going to be in rebuild. They're in rebuild mode, and so are the Falcons. So it's just going to be what it's going to be. I mean, there's some talent on these teams, but again, it's a pass-happy league, and you got average to below. They're not even average quarterbacks. I think Geno Smith and Marcus Mariota are below average quarterbacks. They're backups at best. Yeah. So what you see is what you get. I mean, Atlanta did win the game, but the score is deceiving. Neither one is very good.
Yeah, I mean, they did enough. Let's just say that, because you got Mariota with 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 229, and then you got Geno Smith 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 325. So they're not lighting up the stat sheet, but they did enough to.
Well, Geno Smith threw for a lot of yards, 325 yards for him. That's like 500, 600 yards for like Tom Brady. But look, I mean, he looks to be playing a little bit better in Seattle. Maybe it's because they do have some talent there, but. Especially the wide receiving core, but they lost. Seattle's lost a lot, man. That offensive line is horrible. Geno Smith is mobile, but I don't see either one of those teams being a threat for anything. I mean, you can't overlook anybody in the NFL. I think anybody that watches football and is a student of the game or has an IQ for the game, you can't overlook anybody, because the minute you do, it's a trap game. You're caught. But neither one of those teams are really going anywhere. They're both in rebuild mode. Yeah.
So let's jump over to the Packers against the Buccaneers. Packers ended up winning 14-12. Both teams are 2-1, but this was a close game. This came down to the very end.
Tom Brady, I don't know, something's wrong with him. Maybe it's the wife. No, I'm not making fun of him. I have a lot of respect for Tom Brady. I like to crack jokes, but I have nothing but the utmost respect for Tom Brady and what he's accomplished. I wish he would go away. But no, seriously, the spark is not there, man. And I'm not the only one saying it. But the Packers, man, sneaky good defense, man. Yeah. Like each game, their defense just seems to get a little bit more suffocating. And Tampa Bay, well, we said it last week, that they have a really good defense. And this shows it. You hold Aaron Rodgers to just 14 points That's pretty damn good. But I don't know, man. Tom Brady, you got to snap out of it, man. You came back. Now you got to put up or shut up, man. Yeah. Be the GOAT. You're the GOAT, man.
And he lost some weapons, too, going into this game as well.
Well, to be fair, thank you for bringing that up. Actually, I forgot about that. His 3 starting wide receivers were out in that game.
Yeah.
And he still almost came back and tied it. So, but he just seems like, I don't know, man. The enthusiasm's not there like it usually is. Yeah. Maybe it'll come.
Maybe. All right. So now we're gonna skip the 49ers versus the Broncos because once again we're doing our teams at the end. We're gonna jump to the Monday night game, which was Cowboys against the Giants. Cowboys ended up winning 23-16. Both teams are 2-1. What are your thoughts on the Monday night game?
When Dak Prescott, we talked about Jacoby Brissett holding down the fort until Deshaun Watson comes back. This kid Cooper Rush had one start last year, won it. Everybody was worried about him coming in. I watched him play that game. I know it was only one game, and everyone's like, "Oh, they should trade for a quarterback." This kid's 3-0 at starting games, and when that final drive that counts, am I saying he's Dak Prescott? No, but this guy's a solid quarterback, man. These are the kind of quarterbacks that you want backing up your starters. Because is he a starter? I don't know, but 3-0, man. And your only 3 games that you've played, a quarterback rating of 98, 215 yards, 1 touchdown, and the Giants' defense has actually looked really good in the first 2 games. So, I mean, like you just said before, though, this division is tough, man. They really beat because all these teams, with probably the exception of Washington, and even their defense is pretty solid. They're very competitive. And even the Giants with Daniel Jones, who's not a really good quarterback, they lost a lot of close games last year. And that was without Barkley, the running back. With this kid back, if he can stay healthy and giving them that dose of running game that they need, I mean, I think they're a solid team. They're not, like we talked about last week, they're not 2-0, 3-0, 5-0. The Giants are not that team. Right. But they're going to be one of those teams that they grind it out, and you kind of don't want to play them because their defense is good. And like I said, with the Cowboys, if they can do this until Dak Prescott comes back, which, by the way, when Dak Prescott comes back, can we please have balance like we're doing with Cooper Rush right here? Because I'm looking at 30 carries for 176 yards. Yeah. The Cowboys can do this if they want. They have Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. They can run the ball with the best of them, with anybody.
Agreed.
And it's like, I don't understand why they don't do it. They get obsessed with throwing, with Dak Prescott. Like they throw. You got 2 capable running backs, potentially 2 starters. Maybe you should run the ball.
Yeah. And they did pretty well. I know Zeke, what do you have, like 70-something yards in the touchdown? And then the other guy had over 100 rushing yards. So they were able to move the ball running pretty well against that Giant defense.
Well, Elliott had averaged 5 yards a carry, and Pollard averaged 8 yards a carry.
Right.
He's that change of pace back that we've talked about before. Yeah. Elliott is more of that complete featured back, which is what I think my team is missing. And Pollard is that change of pace guy, and they complement each other very well, and it works, man. 176 yards between the 2 of them, really. I mean, and actually Cooper Rush hurt that because he got 2 carries for -2 yards. So it should have been 78 yards.
Right. And then on the other side of it, Daniel Jones, he's one of those guys that when I was watching the game, he moves faster and scrambles faster and better than he looks like he can. Does that make any sense? Like just the way he's built, he doesn't look like he can move that way, but he does. And granted, his numbers weren't great. I mean, no touchdowns, a pick, not even 200 passing yards, but he did run pretty well. I mean, so it's like, it's funny because I feel like he, if anything, is more of a scrambling quarterback, and maybe they should, I don't want to say make him like do more play action and stuff like that, but in the same sense, maybe.
Maybe make it easier, get him out of the pocket. Maybe he can see the field better.
Yeah.
There might be something to what you're saying there, but I think he's on his last leg, and if he can't get it, I think that they're going to move on from him at the end of this year. I really do.
All right, so now that we ran through the NFL, now we're going to jump to our teams. Let's start off with yours, since yours was the 1:00 game. We had the Bills go against the Dolphins. The Bills actually lost 19-21. The Dolphins are 3-0. The Bills are 2-1. So I know you have some stuff to say. Let's hear it, man.
Do you really want to hear what I have to say?
I do. I want to hear it.
Have you been watching everything that's been going on since that game? First of all the crybaby Buffalo Bills fans, if you're watching this, pound sand. Don't cry about heat, because when you came in here last year, took out our starting. I'm looking right at you. Yeah, you took out our starting quarterback and you tried doing it again in this game. A late cheap hit again, and you beat us by 30-something freaking points. You weren't complaining about the heat.
Yeah.
And that your side of the stadium, you were in the sun the whole time. Now you got a Dolphins team that's starting to build some swagger. Mike McDaniel's injecting some confidence to this team. They had a good offseason. They have played. Oh, and don't start with the freaking excuses of injuries. Oh, half your defense was out. We had 2 or 3 of our top corners were out in this game. Our starting safety was out in this game. We had defensive linemen that were out in this game. We had offensive linemen that was out in this game. Go bang your ass with your excuses. Seriously, this is not a PG segment right here. Right. And then I'm reading articles, legit articles, where fans were saying that they want to file a complaint with OSHA because the Dolphins didn't provide a safe work environment for the freaking Buffalo Bills. Has this generation absolutely crapped themselves completely that even in sports, we have to do stupid shit like this? Last time I checked, the Buffalo Bills have trainers and doctors, and they're responsible for keeping their players hydrated. Right. That's not Miami's problem. And when we go up to your house in December and it's 20 below zero and the winds are whipping and it's snowing like freaking crazy, do we get extra timeouts and not get charged for them because our fingers are falling off? How many timeouts did they get because of cramping and didn't get charged anything or penalized for it? Don't cry. Don't complain. And Chris Sims, to you, I got a message to you, brother. You called Miami's game, their offense, bullshit offense. That there was no way, even though you knew that the Buffalo Bills had half their defenders out, that Miami would be able to run their bullshit. This is supposed to be a professional saying these things. Their bullshit offense against the Buffalo Bills. Well, Miami scored 21 points on offense. We had probably 2 pick sixes that we dropped, which would have been another 14 points. And you guys want to talk about, oh, we didn't, it was too hot and all the excuses. You scored 17 points against our defense. Right. 17. We gave you 2 off our rear end, literally. Yeah. We punted off our own guy's rear end. We gave you 2 points. That last drive shouldn't have been about a field goal. It should have been about a touchdown, which you wouldn't have gotten. Yeah. We harassed Josh Allen, and yours truly called it. It's like Mike McDaniel heard what I said. Yeah. Take away their running game almost completely, which both their running backs had less than 70 yards. Make Josh Allen throw a lot. And the defense has to play somewhat aggressive like they did last year, which I know they're capable of, even though they have injuries. And we have a shot at this game. Well, they scored 17 points against our defense. Don't cry to me about the heat. Don't make excuses. You lost. There was no cheating. Oh, and I just want to say one more thing. The league is investigating the Tua incident. They're trying to find something that Miami did wrong. For all of you that watch this that aren't Dolphins fans and want to troll, I already got your response for you. The guy that evaluated Tua Tagovailoa was an independent doctor. He's not the team doctor. He said it was not a concussion. He said that it was back. His back was locking up with him. Coming from a guy who has a ton of back problems, and you know this, Respawn, bad neck, bad back, horrible back. When your back locks up, you're going to drop and you're going to wobble like that because I've done it plenty of times. So don't tell me that only concussions do that. because that's a bunch of bullshit. Anybody that has back problems knows that your back, you can't do jack shit if you have a bad back. Yeah. You're at your back's mercy. And so now that they're just trying to take more draft picks from the Dolphins. They want to find something that they did wrong, which they're not going to find anything. Telling you that right now. And one more thing. If this was Josh Allen, would they be investigating the Buffalo Bills? Of course not. If it was Justin Herbert, of course not. Tom Brady, of course not. No, they're not going to investigate them because the league doesn't like the Miami Dolphins. That's not a secret. This is what I was touching on earlier. They don't like certain teams. Why would you investigate something that you know to be true? If the guy had a concussion, you've had a concussion, have you not, Respawn?
A very minor one, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the severity of the concussion that they're saying that he had, that guy wouldn't have been able to remember plays. He wouldn't be able to function, let alone throw that 45-yard bomb to Waddle right down the middle that set him up for the go-ahead touchdown. The bullshit offense, right? Chris Sims, he throws 2-yard passes. That bullshit offense, that was a dime that he dropped right in Waddle's basket. And another 30-something yarder before. So if it was Josh Allen, I'm going to sum it up with this. If that was Josh Allen that did that, they wouldn't be getting investigated. The league wouldn't investigate him. Mm-hmm. And they would be praising Josh Allen. He played hurt with his back spasms, and he's a hero. Look at how tough this guy is. It's Tua. We're going to investigate the Miami Dolphins. Horse crap. What say you?
One thing I do want to say, though, real quick, is that you have Josh Allen with 2 touchdowns, 400 passing yards, and Tua with 1 touchdown, 186. So they did struggle against that Buffalo Bills defense. And
number one defense,
exactly. And the other thing, too, is I am excited to see when they have a rematch, to be honest with you, because I think it's one of those things where we all know it's going to be in Buffalo. It's going to be later on in the year. Can't use those excuses anymore. Maybe both teams get some of their defensive players back in. And it'll be interesting to see. It's gonna be.
You can't account for injuries. Look, I'm not saying the Dolphins are better than the Bills.
Yeah,
I'm saying the Dolphins beat the Bills on Sunday.
Yeah, and they did.
And I'm not the one having the meltdown. The supposed professionals on ESPN, Stephen A. Smith, saying that they've never seen such a lopsided game, and yet the team lost. Let me hit you with some knowledge, Respawn. 2009. I've been around for a little bit. My game, the football IQ is pretty high on this. 2009, the Miami Dolphins played the Indianapolis Colts on Monday Night Football. Okay. They ran 84 or 85 plays to Indianapolis's 30 or 35.
I already know where you're going with this. Yeah.
They had the ball for almost 46 minutes, which is more than what Buffalo had, and Miami lost the fucking game. Pardon my French. 27-23. Did I hear an uproar? Did I hear an uproar back then? No, Miami dominated that game. Did I hear anybody say, well, the Dolphins should have definitely won this game? This is an outrage. No, it was Peyton Manning is a god. The Colts are just that superior where they only had the ball for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
As opposed to Miami's 46 or 40. Can we not with the double standard? This is what I'm talking about. I'm not saying Miami's going to go into Buffalo and beat them, but if they do, I'm going to be a prick because you're launching investigations. This is beyond a game. Understand where I'm coming from with this. It has been an absolute meltdown on these media outlets and on YouTube where they do these podcasts. Stephen A. Smith having meltdowns, Chris Sims, and so on and so forth. Completely unprofessional. You lose your credibility when you sit here and say you've never seen a game lopsided. I just gave you one.
Right. And I'm sure there's many more too.
And I just gave you one, and it involved my team. So don't tell me you've never seen anything like this before because it's happened with my team where they dominated and they still lost the game. Number one. Number two, yes, Tua threw for, you failed to mention the fact that he threw for 186 yards. He played with a back spasms the entire second half.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
His back was locking up on him, which they confirmed that after the game. Okay. And yet he still threw that 45-yard bomb for the go-ahead touchdown. So, yeah, and he was going up the number one defense, but he still scored 21 points. Mm-hmm. And Josh Allen, with all those numbers. And, oh, by the way, where were all those explosive throws to Stephon Diggs?
Yeah.
Where was that?
Yeah,
we took it away.
Yep.
We took it away. So yes, Tua wasn't great, but he was still good. He had a way higher quarterback rating than Allen did. If we can pull it up, which I can right here. Okay. Let's do this. Allen had a quarterback rating of 94.7. Tua, with a bad back in the second half, on a cheap shot hit by the Buffalo Bills 2 years in a row, had a quarterback rating of almost 124.
There you go.
Okay. And the Buffalo Bills put up 17 points, not 19. So let's just go with that.
And the thing is, too, is that both teams did a good job of shutting out the top wide receivers on both sides, because Tyreek Hill also didn't have much on the Dolphins offense. So both defenses banged up, and both defenses did really good work. I thought this was going to be a much higher scoring game than what it actually ended up being. Yeah.
We were talking about that when the game was going on, and the defense is really locked down, and Miami showed something here, but people just don't want to give them credit.
That's the beauty about football, man. The bottom line is, once that clock hits 0, that's it, man. The score is what it is. Bottom line.
I'm going to leave this with my team right here, because we're going to go on to yours now. Yep. Okay. You guys can keep hating, and as long as we keep winning, right there. That's all I got to say.
All that matters is the winning, man, right? So it was a win. It was a win. It doesn't matter. So, something.
I'm not the one that's making it personal. You see stupid shit like that all over the place. And I couldn't wait for this. I had to get it out. And I'm going to advertise the shit out of this video everywhere.
Let me tell you something. The only thing I could say is, if this was like, do you remember the Saints a few years back in the playoffs when it was clearly like a pass interference call and they didn't, like, it was so bad, like that I could understand. That was a completely different situation. Playoff game, going to I think it was to the NFC Championship game, and that was a blatant pass interference. Like, that was a hard call. So, or not call, I should say. Then I can understand.
That's not what any of this was.
No.
That was two teams battling in the same heat, which they went in there last year and kicked our ass. The year before that, kicked our ass. They didn't complain about the heat. You know what that is? Crybabies.
Yeah, when they don't get that's it. That's it. It was a win. Either way, the Dolphins got a nice win. They're a 3-0. I believe there's only 2 teams 3-0 in the league, and they're one of them. So there you go.
Okay, and let's just say it. Yep. Why are they playing 4 playoff teams to start off the season? Come on.
I know.
Come on.
I know.
All right. So there's no conspiracy here. The league has certain teams that they like and certain teams that they despise, and they're going to do whatever they feel like it. They're going to run it like a business. It's kind of like running a mafia, because that's what they are. But the problem is the ratings are going down. The last 3 years in a row, the ratings are down.
Yeah.
On to the 49ers and Broncos.
Do we have to?
Yeah, I want to touch on this game because I was heated about this game too.
Dude, this was the Sunday night game. The Niners ended up losing 10-11. The Niners fall to 1-2. The Broncos are 2-1. This has got to be one of the ugliest games I've ever seen. It has to be. Let me tell you something. Jimmy G, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 211 yards, 3 turnovers. Then the Broncos, Russell Wilson, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks, 184 yards, but he had no turnovers. Now, here's the thing. Clearly, turnovers, you lose the game, bottom line. One thing I will say is that both defenses did pretty well. I am very extremely proud of my Niner defense, because my offense, Jimmy G in particular, coughed it up 3 times. It's like, you got to be freaking kidding me, dude. Like, you're giving the ball to the other team 3 times. And on top of it, we had better field position most of the game and all that. And you just kept sputtering and not getting anything done.
Can I stop you?
Yes.
Like you just did to me. You had to calm me down. Yeah. It's personal.
Yeah, a little bit.
Those turnovers didn't cost you the game. Jimmy G stepping out of the end zone with the safety cost you the game.
That too. Yeah. 2 points. He gave 2 points. So
because you should have won this game 10-9.
Right. Yeah. Technically, you're right.
Still an ugly game, but let me just say this. He had 3 turnovers, but the Denver Broncos defense ain't no slouch.
Right.
Okay? It ain't no slouch. And Russell Wilson, man, brother, I highly doubt you're going to watch this, but you should have stayed in freaking Seattle. This is brutal.
He looks bad.
This is brutal.
Here's the thing, though, dude. Here's the thing. For whatever reason, he has the Niners number. And it's fine. It is what it is. Certain teams do that. Certain coaches do that. Whatever. It happens. The thing that irritates me, though, is like you're right. The turnovers, that might not have been the only thing. But in the same sense, like a center snap to the quarterback and you fumble that. That's stupid mistakes that the Niners cannot make. This is why I've been saying it for a few years now. Jimmy G is a solid backup. He is not a starter, in my opinion. That guy is not. Yeah, he's just not it, dude. I'm sorry. He overshoots, he overthrows guys, underthrows guys. Then like one of the interceptions he threw to someone who was double covered with the safety creeping up over the top, and that's where the interception came from. Like, dude, it's things like that drive me absolutely bonkers with that guy. That guy cannot. He needs to go. I'm sorry, dude. I know last week we were saying that he has a better chance and all that, but when you lose to the team this way, they're not a great team. They're not a great team, and on top of them not being a great team, you ran out of bounds in the back of the end zone. You gave them 2 points. You fumble a snap. You throw a pick. Like, dude, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Like, you pretty much gave them the game, and I feel like that this is what this guy does. Every time he gives the other team the game.
Here's the thing. I hear you on all of that. I think Jimmy G will go on to another team. He'll get a starting job one last time. And eventually he will be just a journeyman like Teddy Bridgewater. He will be a backup. But there was none of the controversy surrounding your team. See how worked up you're getting?
Yeah. Because
your quarterback turned it over 3 times. My quarterback got another cheap shot 2 years in a row.
Right.
And so you can see where I'm coming from.
Absolutely,
but it's not about my team anymore. We're moving on. But Jimmy G, I think this Denver defense is good, man. Yeah. And I think he'll be fine. Look, you know what you see is what you get with Jimmy G. Okay. Mm-hmm. He's an average to good quarterback. He's going to have a lot of ups and downs, which average to good quarterbacks have. They have Deebo Samuel there, which I think if you keep using him as a running back and a receiver like this, he won't last the season. I don't care how big this dude is.
Yeah.
He's going to get hurt. You have other guys that can run the ball. This kid Wilson, 12 carries for 75 yards, 6.5 yards a carry, 6.3. Freaking feed the kid the ball. What are you doing? This is the things that drive me bananas sometimes with coaches sometimes and NFL games. It was a close game the entire time.
Yeah.
Why in God's green earth did Jimmy Garoppolo throw 29 times? And this kid only got 12 carries, even though he was averaging 6.3 yards per carry.
Right.
I mean, I don't understand this shit. Like, they ran a total of 19 times for 88 yards, 4.6 as a team.
Yeah.
But you threw 29 times. So that's decent balance. But when you got a guy like this in a tight game like this, man, don't go away from the run, especially if you're running like the ball, like as well as Wilson was. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just, there's a lot of ways you can line up in the I formation. You can line up with 3 wide receivers. You can run out of the shotgun for crying out loud. One of the best ways to beat a blitz is to run right at it, right up the middle between the tackles. This kid Wilson can do that. So it was a close game. I don't understand why they didn't run the ball more. It completely frustrates me to see play calling like this. I don't understand. It's not like they were down by 20. Then I could understand why you abandoned the run, but this was a close game the whole way. I watched the whole game.
Yeah.
It was close. I don't understand it.
And the other thing too is like the way the beginning of the game went, Jimmy G throwing that nice touchdown pass. I was sitting there thinking, oh, here we go. We're gonna show Denver what's up. And then he just disappeared. After that touchdown, that was it. So in the same game, he went from looking like a hero to absolutely looking like a bum, dude. Fumbling a snap, throwing a pick into triple coverage, like just stuff like that, dude. And that's the kind of play I remember last year and even the year before, I would talk to people on the phone and tell them or in person that we were winning games, especially come playoff time, despite him, not because of him. Because there was games that he was just coughing the ball up or overshooting his wideouts or whatever. And we were still winning because of the defense and the run. Jimmy G is the type of guy that you make him throw as little as possible, dude. 10 times a game, 12 times a game.
No.
That's it. Yes. I don't want this dude throwing the ball. If it was up to me, I don't even want him taking the damn snap because he apparently can't handle the damn snap.
Come
either.
on. Dude, that's what the Bears are doing with Justin Fields. Garoppolo's way better than that.
But Fields won.
I would say keep Garoppolo, especially in close games like this, between 20 to 25 passes per game attempts.
Yeah.
Period. The rest of that, I mean, you can run reverse plays, whatever you're gonna do, but do it. And just a quick thing. Something that has always scared me over the years watching football with my team and when I watch other games is I almost feel like the better head coaches sit there and say, I'm not going to show you my hand offensively and defensively. I want to see what your game plan is. I want to see how you guys are lining up, what you guys are planning to do. And I think the coaches that have more success in this league are the ones that play that, like, place the bait and watch them go for it. And then when they get close to the trap, and bam, they got them by the nutsack. Because I think a lot of these better coaches, they don't show their hand until later in the game is when they start pulling out make the adjustments, the defense adjustments. Bill Belichick is famous for doing this crap. And I'm seeing it with Mike McDaniel in Miami. Like, they always start off slow. And I'm starting to think it's by design. He wants to see what their game plan is. And then he's like, okay, let's make a little bit of tweak here, a little tweak there, a little tweak there. And then bang, I'm coming for your throat. And I think that they need to do that with Jimmy Garoppolo. You can't, it's okay, you throw that touchdown pass, but to start off the game, and I can see what you're saying, but I think that they just abandoned the run, and I think they should have stuck with it a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, I know our left tackle went down. I understand that. But in the same sense, I mean, a lineman can run block. You know what I mean? You can keep running the ball and run block. But anyway, to not make this segment like 3 hours long, let's jump on to the next thing, which is let's do the standings real quick. So let's start with the AFC, all right? Let's start with the AFC East, since that's where you guys are from. You got
it doesn't have to start with me, dude. Come on.
Well, that's also the way ESPN has it written, so I followed them.
Okay.
So, or NFL.com, I'm sorry. So they have the Dolphins at 3-0 in the top of the division, Bills 2-1, Jets 1-2, Pats at the bottom 1-2. So any surprises there? Anything that you didn't expect there? That's there.
Miami. Let's be honest. Like I told you before the season started, after the Cincinnati game, if they were 2-2, I would have been ecstatic with that.
Yeah.
I know I have faith in what Mike McDaniel's going there. I told you that before the season started and stuff like that. And I felt like he can help Tua. But I'd be lying to you if I told you that Miami, I knew Miami was going to be 3-0. Not with these first 4 games. So big surprise is the Dolphins and how quickly they're gaining chemistry. And we'll just see. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Injuries happen, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm going to agree with you. And the other thing, too, is the Pats being at the bottom. I thought it would have been Buffalo and then Dolphins and Pats in the middle and Jets at the bottom.
I think they're going to be at the bottom, especially depending on how long Mac Jones is out, 4 to 6 weeks, maybe more.
Yeah.
That hurts.
Yeah, well, we'll see. All right, so continuing with the AFC, we're going to jump over to the West. We have the Chiefs 2-1, the Broncos 2-1, the Chargers 1-2, and the Raiders 0-3. Surprises?
Raiders and Chargers.
Yep.
All the hoopla between those 2 teams.
Yeah.
You know, especially the Raiders, like a lot of the moves that they made, and Justin Herbert, they force-feed it down our throat. And I mean, again, it's a marathon. I think the Chargers will definitely have a winning record, and whether they're a playoff team or not remains to be seen. Because you got Kansas City. I think Russell Wilson will eventually turn it around and figure out that offense. But the freaking Raiders 0-3, wow! Yeah. With the amount of moves you made, Devontae Adams alone, they paid that guy a lot of money, man. 0-3.
I agree. I figured it would have been at least a win by now. So
yeah.
But all right. So now we're gonna go to the North. We have the Browns 2-1. We have the Ravens 2-1, the Steelers 1-2, and Cincinnati 1-2.
I mean, Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody would have been like, the Bengals going to the Super Bowl. Well, it's a surprise, and it's not, because we talk about the Super Bowl hangover. It's real. I think the Browns being 2-1 with Jacoby Brissett is absolutely a surprise with Watson being out.
I agree.
So I would say the Bengals and the Browns. Baltimore is right where they should be. Pittsburgh, I think Trubisky gets a little bit of shit. I don't think he's that bad of a quarterback. He had a lot of drop passes in that last game, like you said, but I think nobody thinks Pittsburgh's going to be a Super Bowl contender or even a playoff team. So I think it's Cleveland and Cincinnati for opposite reasons.
Okay. So, and I agree. So we're going to jump over to the South. We have Jacksonville 2-1, the Colts 1-1-1, the Titans 1-2, and the Texans 0-2-1.
The Colts is kind of disappointing so far, 1-1-1. They had that tie. The Titans lost a lot of weapons, but I think that they'll still be all right because I still think Tannehill is an average to good quarterback. They have a great running game, a good defense. I think the big surprise is, honestly, it's Jacksonville, how quickly they've come along just by switching head coaches.
Right.
People say, coaching's not that big of a difference. You're seeing it right now in Miami and Jacksonville. So don't tell me coaching that it doesn't make a difference, because it does.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now we're going to jump over to the NFC. We're going to start with the East. We have the Eagles 3-0, the Cowboys 2-1, the Giants 2-1, and the Commanders 1-2. Me personally, this is kind of how I saw it. I saw the Eagles at the top, maybe the Cowboys swap, and then the other two at the bottom. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I had it going into the season. So no surprises there.
Yeah, I agree. The West, the Rams 2-1, the Niners 1-2, the Seahawks 1-2, and the Cardinals 1-2. This one I am surprised. There's a lot of 1-2s in this division. I didn't see that coming. I
think San Francisco is going to win this division.
You think with the way they've been playing, huh? I'm starting to lose some faith.
San Francisco, what do you mean the way they've been playing, dude? They haven't. Look, Jimmy G was not the starter. He didn't get a lot of the reps in training camp and in preseason.
That's true.
So, at one point, they didn't even have him working out with the team. He was just throwing the ball. He had surgery during the offseason.
Yeah.
The Niners will be fine. It will be the Niners and the Rams. The Seahawks, no. Arizona might make some noise, but I don't know, man. They get way too much credit. Kyler Murray, another ESPN favorite. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Okay. So now we're going to the North. We have the Vikings 2-1, the Packers 2-1, the Bears 2-1, and the Lions 1-2.
This division is baffling. Like I told you, Minnesota gives me fits. If I was a Vikings fan, I think I would have to replaster my whole house.
Yeah,
I'd be putting my head through the wall every year. I don't get it. You look at them on paper, and they should be a playoff team, but they're constantly just either they're there barely or they don't make it. It's still the Packers division to lose, honestly. Justin Fields is not ready. I think the Lions are sneaky good. I don't think Jared Goff is that bad of a quarterback. He's not great, but I don't think he's that bad. And they actually have a pulse in the running game and on defense. I would keep an eye on the Lions, but it's the Packers division to lose, clearly.
Yeah, and the thing is, this record right here is how I thought the West was going to be. A lot of 2-1s, maybe a 1-2 at the bottom. That's what I predicted by this point, but clearly I was wrong. So now let's finish off with the South. We have the Buccaneers at 2-1, then the Panthers 1-2, the Saints 1-2, and the Falcons 1-2.
So Tom Brady can be out there in crutches, and they're still going to win that division.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you look at the Panthers. I mean, Baker Mayfield, if he starts to get some chemistry with that offense, that's the only team that I can see posing a threat. Jameis Winston, unless they have somebody on the bench that we don't know about that could emerge as a star, he's going to hold the Saints back. And the Falcons have Marcus Mariota. He sucks. You want to talk about a bust? Yeah. He was a freaking bust.
Well, here's the thing: the Saints with Winston, he needs to stop turning the ball over. I mean, he turns over way too much, and Mayfield needs to throw more than 170 passing yards for them to win. So there's that. So all in all, so we went through the whole week. We talked a little bit more in depth about our own teams, of course, because that's what we're more familiar with, and we even did the division standings. So I think we covered everything in the NFL this week, man.
I'm not going to apologize for the rant because you got to understand where I'm coming from. It was fun, but I'm not going to apologize for it, dude. Yeah. Put yourself in my place. If it was your team, the league is targeting them. The media is targeting them. Like, what in the hell is going on here? It's not like they've been winning for 20 years like the Patriots. They've sucked for 20 years. You can't see them go in the right direction. It's awful to watch. Watching guys that are supposed to be professionals conduct themselves and wet themselves because they were wrong about the Buffalo game and Miami game. It's funny to watch, but frustrating.
Yeah.
Investigate all you want. Unless you fabricate something, you're not finding shit. It was an independent doctor that evaluated Tua, and he's probably not even going to play Thursday night. It's a short turnaround. They play the Bengals in Cincinnati. It'll probably be Teddy Bridgewater. Waddle is questionable. He might not even play. So you might get your wish. Miami might lose their first game, and then they can turn around and say, see, we told you, they suck.
Yeah. So,
and by the way, one last thing, Buffalo fans, if Tua sucks so bad, why are you so mad that he was out there in the second half?
Right.
Yeah. I could keep firing facts at you guys all damn day long, dude.
Now, the thing is, though, do you short week and all that, the Thursday night game, what do you think? You think you guys can get that win, or even
depends on who's starting. It depends on who's starting. If Tua's starting and he's right, I think we have a shot, but I think it's going to be close.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm pretty confident that Miami can beat anybody as long as they play right and they're coached right. And I have faith in Mike McDaniels. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to say the Dolphins win this game and just continue to piss people off.
Yeah, I think you guys can win. I don't really see why you couldn't win that game, to be honest with you, dude. I mean,
the only thing that scares me is you look at the Baltimore and Buffalo. Those are like playoff games right there.
Yeah.
And they might overlook the fact that Cincinnati's 1-2, regardless of whether they're the AFC defending champions or not. But I think if they don't overlook them, and Waddle's there and Tua's there and he's right, I think we have it. I think we can win in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think so too. It's because Cincinnati's been solid, but I think Miami can hit them in the mouth. But we'll see. Well, you never know. And then my team's got the Monday night game against the Rams. So this is battle for first place. If we beat the Rams, we jump up to that first place spot. So
what do you got?
Dude, I had Niners this week. I thought we had it, but I don't know.
I think that's going to be another grinder.
Yeah, unfortunately.
The Rams, even though they're playing poorly offensively, they do have a good defense. So
yeah.
Jimmy G better come to play and run the damn freaking ball, dude.
Yeah.
You guys need more balance, and you have the running back to do it. You need to run the ball. I need to see the Niners run 28 to 32 times. Run the damn ball. Keep Jimmy Garoppolo under 25 attempts. Run the ball over 25 attempts. More balance. You should come out with a win.
We should. And you know what? I'm not going to lose faith. I think we can still – I'm going to say the Niners still take this win. Just because it was a bad week, whatever, I'm going to say that they're going to take this win. But we'll see what happens.
They should have won this week.
I know.
Jimmy G doesn't step out of the back of the end zone. Despite those turnovers, they win 10-9.
Yep, exactly. So
legit defense. But let us know what you guys think. Are we both full of shit? Do you hate my guts? I don't really care. Either way, let this man know. Yep. Hit the subscribe button. You do the rest, man. It's your channel.
That was beautiful, man. That was perfect. So thank you guys very much for watching. Please let us know down in the comment section what you think. And, give us some predictions and stuff and see, let us know what you want to see next. But this was fun, man. Thank you very much for coming on and talking some sports with me, man. This was a blast. Take care, guys.
Take it easy, man.